All right, welcome, Krillin.
My pleasure, always.
How are you feeling right now?
Very good. Just finished my workout, so it's a very good timing to do this podcast.
Yeah. Do you have an intention? What would you like to get out of this podcast?
Actually, I don't have intention. I just like to be interviewed, I guess. Yeah,
You'd like to be interviewed.
depends on what. Depends on what topic. Yeah, but generally speaking, yeah.
Which part of getting interviewed do you like?
Um, I don't know. I just like to tell to people different perspective. So uh, it's good to be heard in some ways. Sometimes,
Yeah. What about you do you feel has is a different perspective?
because I wouldn't say it's all very unique or whatever, but it's because of the things I've been through in life. Of course, there are maybe other people that's been through something similar, but everybody's being um they deal with things like that in a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. Before you were born, okay? If you if you were a living person, historical figure, who do you think would have been in your past life? Is that question make sense?
I think about it. So, my past life, it would be. It's hard. It's hard because I'm still changing all the time. I'm very
Yeah.
flexible. So, I think who I am right now compared to 10 years ago is very different. So, it's hard to decide. But probably I can't decide. Let me think. Um, what kind of figure?
I can maybe try to word it another way. Which historical figure do you look up to the most? Let's try that.
Look up to the most, right? So, like probably Sun Tzu, like Sun Tzu 兵法. Have you heard of it?
Sun Tzu, The Art of War.
Sun Tzu. Yeah. Probably him. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What about him do you admire?
Because I think Taiwan is a very it's a very safe society, but we grew up in a Confucius mindset mostly, so which is good. You know, a lot of people that's why it's so safe. You know, people respect the elders, and a lot of people work in a company 9 to 5, stuff like that. But um, I feel like in the modern society, especially on the planet Earth, it's not always going to be that peaceful. And so Sun Tzu is like I think everything about the philosophy uh, applies to reality. It's like Confucius is good, but unfortunately, a lot of times, unconditional love, I agree with it, and I try my best to do that to everybody. But a lot of times, we have to be careful because not everybody's gonna, you might have people that's gonna take advantage of it if you're too nice. And when you're at the working environment, or if you're studying or at school, just a lot of occasions. And I like it because it fits the humanity, like psychology wise. Yeah, so it works when it comes to marketing. It works when it comes to friendship. It works when it comes to a lot of things because um, I just like reading it. I don't know. I think it's just very interesting. Like um, it seemed to work a lot of times in life. But Confucius, I like it, but unfortunately, in reality, it doesn't sometimes apply to all situations.
Is there a specific lesson or something that works that you can remember from Sun Tzu?
True. Oh, maybe the I've been working in the film industry for 10 years, for example, but I feel like when it comes to marketing, for example, if I'm a if I'm a successful sales, selling health, like how to be healthy to my clients, the way you word it is very important. For example, if you word things like mm, I genuinely do care about your health, and I would like to create more space for you to work with me. Uh, if you can do that, please let me know. A lot of times when it comes to marketing, it doesn't work like that, and it's kind of sad because I used to try that. But when it comes to marketing, if you word it, for example, my schedule, although I really, want to help you, but my schedule is very full right now. Like I have, 6, 7 clients a day. But mm, if you can uh, decide right now whether you're going to work with me or not, I would love to help you. That A versus B, like it does create a very different effects on people. Sometimes it's kind of sad, but I realized through 10 years in film industry, a lot of times how you market yourself really does matter. Like you can see a lot of trainers, they're very professional. They're very they care about the clients very much a lot, and they're very nice people. But a lot of times they're not very good at marketing themselves. They don't know how to word things in a certain way, and I think that's the key to um, to a lot of industries that we don't like it, but because it's the same thing. Whether how I word it, I my intention is to help you to help you get healthier mentally or physically. But it's just like sometimes I word it differently. The result will just be so different. Yeah, it's just the way it is, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Which part of
Which
that
part of that?
makes you feel sad?
It's not. I wouldn't say sad, but it's just like I feel like same goes to a lot of for example, a lot of nice men or women that are looking for date or trying to look for their uh somebody, right? They're the right find the right person to date. I feel like um sometimes even when it comes to dating, just because some like for example, I know a lot of people, whether they're male female, it doesn't matter. They're too nice, but they're actually very nice people, and sometimes people take advantage of them, and they ended up making in a toxic relationship that they probably doesn't even have to get involved with. But if they value themselves better and they're more confident about themselves, maybe I wouldn't say 100%, but maybe they'll find a better relationship. But of course, it's not for everybody, because I fortunately I met my wife uh, not like that, So there are genuine people out there, but yeah, but it just seems like it's always takes a little bit of marketing. It's when it comes to relationship or friendship sometimes, and it can get annoying, but I think that's just the way it is, especially in like big cities, and it's just the way it is. Yeah, but it's just quite interesting. It's just quite interesting if you know what I mean, if I express it right.
Yeah, I'm curious which part of it is maybe the story that I create is that there's like marketing and influence and psychology matters,
Yeah,
whether it's in dating, whether it's in selling, all of that. But it can be used unethically because
yeah,
there's a power to it when you get good at it.
yeah,
And sometimes when you have that ability without the ethics, then it can become manipulative. If
exactly.
you,
Yeah, exactly.
whereas some people might be well intentioned and they have a desire to help, let's say as a trainer, but they don't have the knowledge or the technique, marketing or language sales techniques, and so they're not they're not able to advertise themselves and sell their services in the same way. So there needs to be a blend of your ethical grounding as well as the ability to influence using these kind of psychological or language skills.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the part that can be
Yeah.
said. You see people
Yeah.
who are really good at words and they can manipulate and trick and seduce and all these things, and that's the part that could be said. Maybe that's what I heard.
Yeah. True. I agree with that. I think I did meet a couple cases that I used to be a manager in the gym, and some of the cases they're very good sales, but they took it too far. That they forgot that sometimes you can take it too far because you can take it too far because when it comes to relationship dating, you cannot for example, if they make a mistake in the relationship, they wouldn't want to apologize in those cases, and they will reward it and say, "Oh, probably think about it. It's probably not my fault." And you can think about this situation. It's probably you being overthinking because they don't realize that they should never use selling sales technique on their spouse. It's kind of strange. So, I did see some of those cases that ended up breaking up, and it's quite interesting. So I agree. You need to find a balance. Yeah.
What going back to your childhood, what experience or memory do you feel had the most impact on shaping who you are today?
Mm, childhood. What's interesting is if you look at my if you watch my YouTube channel, the first video is actually just my story of how I share my transformation of me dealing with a rare disease, and after a few years of dealing with that, luckily I get back to where I am right now. Like I'm a healthy person. I got to stay fit, and the funny thing about childhood is I used to think a lot of problems was so bad. It's very traumatic, and it was so bad until I lost my health. Like I wasn't healthy anymore, and I had to stay at home. I can't be able to work. For 2 years I was physically unwell, and when that happens, it's not very good for your mental health as well. And it was very challenging. And after those 2 years, it was not very enjoyable, obviously, but it did also brings a lot of change to my personality. That I think a lot of things I think used to be a big deal uh, isn't a big deal for me anymore. For example, for example, I want my career to be in a certain subconsciously, I want my career to be in a certain way when I'm in a certain age. During this age, you have to be like blah blah blah. I have certain expectations, to myself. But that wasn't necessary. And I wanted to raise kids. I wanted to have kids with my wife and stuff like that. But after that health crisis happened, I feel like I probably don't want kids anymore because number one, like I'm not sure when's the next time I'm going to be unhealthy again. I don't want to be a father who's going to be unhealthy raising kids. There are people that can do that. That's good. That's their choice. But I prefer to be if I want to be a father, I want to be a healthy one. So when health crisis happen, the first thing you're going to ask yourself is, um, what can you remember if you die? I mean, if something because it was hard, it can be diagnosed properly, and I was just suffering things like feel similar to epilepsy, but it wasn't, and it was very very hard, and I feel like the first thing I asked myself, what can I be remembered um, if I die tomorrow? I keep asking myself that question, and I feel like, oh, money doesn't matter, career doesn't matter, is you know if you truly 100% uh, enjoy your life in every way, so you live with no regrets. Like we meet a lot, like we always hear a lot of people around their 80s 90 years old, and they're talking about, oh, I wish when I was young. I did this, I did that. Some of them, they'll have this regrets, and they'll tell, young people, oh, you can't think differently. But we never know what they're thinking, until we experience things like health crisis or stuff like that. But usually it comes later in life. But for me, I want to say it sucks, but it's also amazing that it happens so early in my life. So I realized that I had no choice but to change. I had to switch. I have to cut out a lot of my friends' social circle. I realized, when you're truly at the bottom of your life, you realize who's going to be your real friends. And a lot of people, they're not bad people. They just haven't experienced that much in life, so they can't put themselves into your shoes. But unfortunately, when you're in that position, you have to make a lot of change. You have to cut out a social circle, but you have to create a new social circle to people that can be more sympathetic to your situation. And uh, it changes a lot. Like it changed my personality big in the very positive way. In the very positive way, also, yeah, there's good and bad, I would say, because like for example, before that, um, when somebody passed away, like somebody passed away, my friend's friend or whatever, I would always react so dramatically because I think, oh, how is that possible and everything like that. But when things like that happen, and you're suffering for a very long time, and you feel like, mm, how do I put it? Like you just feel like life is short, and um yeah,
What would you say is your purpose or mission now?
my purpose of permission.
Purpose or mission, yeah, now at this stage in your life.
Uh, just of course, do what I truly wanted to do, because there are a lot of things that I really wanted to do, but I don't have the courage to do so. I think starting a business is like a small part of it. I think other things that matters more as well, such as like for example, like rapping. When I was a kid growing up, I always enjoyed rapping. Rapping Mandarin, of course, and I always enjoyed doing it. And in my high school, I was like, oh, it's so funny. I was like, oh, maybe one day I can rap on the stage when I was a kid. So simple things like that. Uh, right now, I would think, oh, maybe I want to pick up that again. So I want to start, rapping as a hobby. And I think art is a very good form of healing yourself. That you can always, express your feelings through lyrics, and um, it's healing. It's healing people. So and you share your thoughts to other people, and people that can resonate with you, they can they'll like your art. And mm, my mission is simple. I want to help as many people as I can, but only those who wanted to be helped. Yeah. The last thing I want to do is to change someone. It's only those who ask me for help, and if I can help them, I would do so. I think that's very important, because I think a lot of people, they spend so much time on changing other people, and that's not very realistic. Because mm, we can waste so much time on changing somebody, but if we spend 1 out of 10 of that time to collect people that's more like-minded to us, you can create a more efficient social circle, and it can be a very big group of people because they agree with your ideas, your values. So yeah, that's my mission.
Because what I had heard was that there's some things you wanted to do that maybe you feel you don't yet have the courage to do. And was
Yes,
rapping one of those things? Like what part are you afraid of?
rapping was a part of it, and because and then it will be starting the business, because especially starting something that's not 100% related to my field. I feel like it's very hard, and I have to get out of comfort zone. And there's no one way of doing it. You ask people that are successful, have started a business. A lot of them, they don't have a clue. What I mean by that is like they work hard, but everybody do it differently. So there's no one answer for how you should do it. So the best they can do is to encourage you. But at the end of the day, you're the one that needs to uh, have the courage yourself, right?
Yeah. So when you say you want to help people, what's the way that you help people? What's your what's your method or approach, or is it through fitness? Is it through like self-confidence? Is it through, what's your way of doing that?
Depends on what they're asking for. But for example, recently, one of my friend, she wanted to start training for health, but most importantly, mental health. So she was asking me if I can refer any trainers for things like that, right? She want to find exercise that can help her to induce endorphins. Is that how we say it? Like to feel positive, um, and she can keep a good, habit. And I think things like that, or when people ask me for help, I would help. Just I want to do as many good things before I die, because I don't know if you ever look into a lot of near-death experience books or stuff like that that people, because of accident, either accident or surgery, they experience just dying in a few minutes or an hour, or unconscious for a while. They A lot of them said that they see a rewind of their whole life of what actually what's actually going on, like what happened in the past. Like it can be good things or it can be anything, just good things they done, bad things are done, whatever. But I just feel like I'm not a super religious person, but I wanna I do, after reading a lot of that, I realized that probably there's more than we think. So if we do a lot of good things, that not only that we feel good, that when we leave, when you look at those memories quickly, that like rewiring all that, you can see a lot of I don't know, just like just watching other people succeed in anything just makes me happy, because that means I'm confident with myself. Because what I don't want to do is you see people that the if you don't do that, you're gonna be a person with jealousy. Like a lot of people, they look at successful people. Oh, I hate the rich. I hate I hate athletes. They're all on steroids, or if they have to find everything negative to say about whatever uh like successful people are doing. But if we look at like positive things, like we actually, it means we're confident, like within ourselves, that we want to be successful. That's why we want to see other people succeed in anything, no matter if it's health or it's just a very positive circle. And you don't know, like maybe the person, he or she is down, but maybe one day when they stand back up and it's your turn, to be down, and they can provide help. And even if they don't, it's fine. Somebody else will, since you've done so many good things to everybody. But of course, not everybody, but just things, people that wanted me to help. Yeah,
What would you say is the best thing you've ever done for someone?
it's hard to answer the question. Best thing ever done for someone.
Or maybe the proudest thing you've done for someone? When you look back on that life, you're having your near death experience, and you're remembering all the things that you did for people, and how you helped them, and what's like something that stands out, like Wow, I'm really glad I helped that person in that way.
My I think my answer used to be like, I helped a patient who went through cancer, and the cancer was bad, and then she got better, and she started working out, uh, and she's in a certain age, and she can only do so much, and I slowly help her to get better and better, at least maintain the health. She could, like, she's trying her best to do so. That used to be my like answer. That used to be my answer. So like cases like that, but it's not my answer anymore because um I think what happened to me, I still feel a little bit just unfair. It's not like, oh, I feel like, oh, I'm such a victim. No, it's not. It's just that I feel like before I got sick, I really did help a lot of people, and I never just want to train clients for like money. I truly like want to help. Each one of them, they have a different goal, and I just wanted to help them. But I realize it's a little bit unfair for me to go through that. Although I did learn a lot from it and appreciate the challenge. Being sick and recover is like the hardest lessons I've ever been through. But so that's not my passion anymore. Like I wouldn't. That's not my answer anymore. I think the proudest thing I've ever done is very strange right now. It's like I would say the answer will be very strange. It would be like I've told my wife when I was sick that if if you feel like, because I didn't know I was going to recover, I thought I was going to be like that forever until the day I died. So I was like, if you feel like you have to take care of me and it's draining you for a long time, it's okay to say goodbye because um, I don't want to be a selfish person and just keep you right there for a long time. I think that's unfair. So the proudest thing is like, of course, she's like, no, 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 I will stay with you. But I mean, it's hard to say if it goes on for 10 years. If the same situation goes on, it's hard to say if you have to take care of somebody who sleep 2 hours a day and going through that for 10 years. I don't think it's fair for her. But I'm proud that I told her as early as I could. Like I'm not scared of that, but I'm scared of um, draining you because I think you're still young. So you can have more chances to meet others if you know if something like that happens. No, because that takes a lot of courage. Because to say that, yeah, and it's very hard to. It's not a right or wrong question, and she doesn't have a right or wrong answer as well. So all I can say is I'm happy that right now I'm doing okay myself, and yeah, but that will be my answer now. So yeah, but I mean, there's still many things that I want to explore. So I'm not sure what will be the answer a few years later. But I'm looking
Sure.
forward to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned a bit that you're not particularly religious. Do you have any specific kind of religious or spiritual beliefs or traditions that constitute your identity?
Yeah. I think because I look into everything. No, I mean like because I think there's pros and cons about Confucius, right? So growing up in Taiwan, the good thing I like about Confucius is like listen before we judge. Listen to what people say before we judge, so we can absorb new informations and we can learn from everybody. No matter, like, we don't have to agree 100% with what they're saying, but it is fine. Sometimes we don't have to be so entitled to our opinion because we can learn probably 30-40% from them. And in that case, and if we are always so entitled to our opinions, and we sometimes we lose the chance of learning a different perspective. So what I mean by that is like I I've been to Christian church. I've been to Like I'm looking into like Buddhism. I look into like Taoism, and I have also like the Jewish religion or everything. It's like every religion has their own philosophy and something valuable about it. So that's why I that's why I say like I'm not super religious because I think every religion has its own very unique philosophy. For example, like Christian like community, they are people that cooperate together, and it's like a community, and you can always go there if you need help. And Buddhism and Taoism, they want you to look inside of yourself. So it's not always about a big community. It's about how can you deal with the universe with on your own, which can be hard, but it's also a very interesting philosophy because you look into like meditation and stuff like that. And um, yeah, it's very cool. No, I mean, just looking at every religion, there's always pros and cons, and especially those few years when I got sick, I went through like different religions to when science physically you went to medical health system. If it doesn't work, you start looking for things that you would never believe just to see if it works. Yeah,
I watched your interview with Jason and his wife, Hannah,
yeah.
and there's a little clip in there where you mentioned that you maybe I'm using my own words, but from what I heard was that you were kind of surprised that he was a pastor and he had changed your perception of pastors. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like what was that shift?
Because he admit he made mistakes as well, and very quickly, the first time I met him, like he's not perfect. He when it comes to certain things, he made mistakes as a pastor, and I think it's very rare to see. That's for one. Number two is like he always listened to your story before he started to talk, and when he listened to your story, sometimes when people disagree with you, you can see their faces twitching. Sometimes it's not you overthinking. They actually it's hard for them to keep a straight face. But he actually managed to like just try his best not to judge at every situation, and like his face didn't twitch at all. At least that's how I feel. Yeah, no, I mean like he's not he can it's not a very common thing to see. Yeah, because sometimes you uh it's sometimes you'll see people they can be a little bit they try not to judge, but you can tell they're not they're still they still are judging, you know. So I think that's very interesting about him. That I think you know it's a better marketing for a religion as well, because for example, I think the other day there's a Asian American um guy that told me he was walking on the street and two like 20 years old American girls um from Mormon church was trying to approach him and saying, "Oh, you should come to our church." And after they added his number, and they kept like just sending a lot of messages, and it kind of scared him away. But I told him it's not about that. It's more of the fact that okay, when you're 20 years old, you haven't and I'm not saying they didn't experience anything in life, but when your lack of experiencing a lot of things in life, it's hard for you to convince somebody to be in a religion. For example, if Mike Tyson's coming from the Mormon church and saying like, oh, you better listen to my story. I mean, that will have a very big different impact, because people would think, oh, I know this guy that he's been through so many up and downs. So what makes this man, choosing that religion? I think that would be a better marketing. So instead of choosing somebody wearing a suit, riding on a bicycle, I think it's a very good thing to do. But everybody's different, But if if you appear to be like that, create a gap between you and the general public, that you have to wear a suit and when you're approaching the general public, they might feel like there's a gap between like when if I'm talking to the guy, I feel like there's a gap between us, and I'm not sure if that person understand what I'm going through. That I think that's what goes into people's subconscious mind. So maybe the guy did. He did, suffering a lot in life in the past, and he did find a very positive value of the religion. But because of the way he portrayed himself, dress in a certain way or approach people in a certain way, it make people feel like there's a gap. It's not that easy to be approached. If that makes sense. Yeah, but Jason just makes you feel like it's a very different vibe that you will feel very comfortable to tell him a lot of things about yourself. Yeah, so I think that's different. Otherwise, I think there are a lot of cases that I've seen that are like my friend who's just that kind of experience. He feel kind of intimidated that he didn't know if he should go visit that church because it just feel kind of weird, you know.
Yeah, not it's a little bit off topic, but I am curious now that you mention it. If
Yeah,
the Mormon, because the Mormons, they get like the 20-year-olds, right, to go out and try to be missionaries.
yeah.
I wonder if the point of that is to actually recruit people, or if it's just for the young guys, like to have that experience, to like face a lot of rejection, to try, and everyone's like, no, go away, and it helps to strengthen their faith, or it's like a test of their own faith. So I'm
Oh,
not
that's
sure
true. That's true.
if it's more
That's
for
true. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that.
yeah
It's a very good perspective. I never look at it that way, but I think it's good. But because it sounds like a company that you're training a lot of young cells,
yeah
you have to do that. But I think in religion, it might be a little different. When it comes to that psychology I was talking about. Yeah,
mhm.
I think it can be a little different. But if it works for some, I think that's great. And I think it's good that they can face rejection in their early years. So when they're not in their 20s, they can work in the sales job probably. Yeah.
It's just an idea. I don't know what's
And
the
that could be true. That actually could be true because if they sell something that's so hard to sell,
mhm.
religion. So I'm not saying like people is not buying spending money, but I mean like if they're selling something that's so hard to sell. When it comes to like an actual product, they're selling it, it might be a lot easier. So it might be positive. Yeah, I never look at it that way. So it's a very good way of thinking about it because I always uh, subconsciously feel slightly irritated by being approached by a 20 years old who doesn't know like when I was physically just unwell and what I was going through. Yeah, subconsciously, like yeah. So
I'm curious what you learned from through Jason.
not yet. We met a few times, but um, what I've learned, I think it's kind of different because I think the challenges we face are different. What I learned, okay, specifically, I would say, okay, I would say how to be like. I feel like he is, for example, when it comes to he was talking about like in the church, you have like people politically on the left or right side, and they'll he has to bring both sides together and have a like logical calm debate and agreeing with each other's differences. And I think that's very hard. It's hard to imagine, him trying to manage that. I think it can be extremely hard. I can imagine, it must be super hard. So I think that's something I wanted to learn because, for example, I actually there's a podcast. No, no, there's an interview I did on my channel, but I didn't upload it because of that. So there's something I need to learn from. I think because a few of my videos actually just coincidentally, interviewed a lot of couples, and the couples are like just happen to be like, for example, Americans dating like Taiwanese or somebody with an Asian background. So it's just a coincidence. I didn't really pick or whatever, but I think I had a guest, and she told me that I no, she suddenly bring up that don't ask me about dating Asian guys. I don't date Asian guys, and I think that is a different perspective. I don't need to agree or disagree, but because she said that, and I didn't want to upload the video. The main reason because I feel like that's just not appropriate. Um, but probably um, when the topic is not about dating, it doesn't even matter. Just about uh, what what's about her. That's interesting. What about the guest? I think that's more what's more valuable. But because I think that's something I have to learn from him. Because maybe if it's him, he wouldn't do that. He would still upload the video if he's doing the channel. Just my opinion. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like because I feel like I don't know. I just no offense. I don't know much about America and but I feel like a lot or France, for example. But like I feel like the society like it's really weird when a society says they're very diverse and when a for example if a white woman says uh I don't date black men and she's over the next day she's over she's if that moment get captured record on video the next day she's gonna lose her job she's gonna like just people are gonna be like oh you're racist and this and that you know men, things like that maybe it's her preferences whatever but if somebody says oh I don't date an Asian I will never date an Asian guy somehow it doesn't seem to be as bad and I think that's a problem. I think that's the double standard. The double standard doesn't make sense to me. A lot of these countries they tell me they're very diverse and open-minded, but treat everybody the same. I think saying black. I don't date black men. I don't date black women, or I don't date you know black. I don't date Asian guys. All of that just don't say it. Period. Don't say like, hey, I'm a very liberal-minded person, and but I don't date Asian guys. That's very strange to me. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. Because if you claim yourself to be open-minded and diverse, and it is very important to treat everybody with respect, especially when like Asia is very big continent, right? So, for example, like people in Mongolia will look very different to people in Vietnam or people like it's a very big continent. If you go to like Kazakhstan, a lot of those people they look mixed. They look have something else, and a lot of places in Mongolia as well. You can see like half Siberian, half Asian, but they're Asian. So there's so many different types of Asians. So as black people, so as white, there's a huge difference between Slavic. When it comes to white people, there's a huge difference between Slavic people and the French. This is there's a huge genetically difference. So as Asians, so as blacks, there's so I personally wouldn't say things like that because I think it's just everybody's different. I can't generalize anybody. Yeah, but I think I understand why. I understand why it happens in some Western countries, why they accept that double standard. Because if uh, if some of the Asian countries aren't a big economic threat in any way, why would they do that? Why would they allow their citizen to um to do so? Hold on, give me a second.
Mhm.
Just let me. Am I allowed to leave for 30 seconds?
Yeah, go for
Yeah,
it.
go for it. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, but out of the topic, I mean, yeah, just yeah, but yeah, that's just but I shouldn't have just because you had a different opinion doesn't mean I have the right to not uploading the video.
True. So that's what you learned from Jason. Just do
Yeah,
it
because
anyways.
he can actually just listen to everybody. Let me take my yeah, because I can't do that. I think but he's I think he's beyond black that like beyond like left and right, and I think that's very good. Yeah, I am beyond left and right as well, but I don't like to hear things that I consider a little bit inappropriate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right. Well, in the interest of time, because I try to keep these under an hour out of respect for your time as well. I have some questions usually at the end of the podcast
Yeah.
that I share. So, if you could only gift one book for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, book.
Yeah.
Book. I don't know how to say that book in English. Though. Let me think. There's so many. There's so many books I've enjoyed. Um, okay, how to convince other people? It's I think it's a Japanese. It's from a Japanese author. How to convince other people? Yeah, it's a book. I forgot the name of the author. It's like how to convince people. I think it's a very interesting book. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite quote
Um, of the book. The favorite quote of the book is
or
favorite
any from anywhere, any
quote.
quote?
Um, just anything, right? Any quote. I would be like, okay, don't spend time on trying to change anybody because um a lot of people they cannot change. They don't have the desire to change when things they're not wanting to change yet. So it's very important for us to spend the time on number one, changing ourselves, developing our own career and health, and taking care of ourselves first. And secondly, the most importantly, spend the time, the same amount of time to actually collect like-minded people instead of trying to change other people because it's not a very productive thing to do, and people will find you very annoying. So I think that's the best quote.
Nice. That's a good one. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to yourself, let's say from before your physical health issues?
Oh, stop over analyzing everything because um, a lot of times I feel like I should have achieved more, but I didn't because at that time because I overanalyzed and I ended up not taking as much action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So can you edit that? No, I mean like just the whole podcast.
Can I edit it?
Yeah, or like straight live.
I never edit it.
Okay, it's fine.
Maybe
It's
when
fine
I
then. Hope people will
have
like it.
more viewers, I'll put
I
more.
just hope the lady who I interviewed wouldn't see that. But
Uh,
if she sees it, I want to tell her it's okay. You know, I
yeah,
it's it is okay to say whatever you want to say, but
yeah,
I just it is just me. It's not. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It's just
yeah,
my preferences. Like you might have your preferences, which is I respect that. But I have my preferences who I wanted to put on my channel. Like what kind of people I would like to put on my channel. I think yeah, but it's not. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. You're a very nice person, and yeah. but it's just I used to live in a very small, predominantly white town, when I was studying overseas. So I prefer not to hear that back in my own country.
Hmm.
Yeah, but out of all respect, you have the right to say that, but yeah, okay, if she sees it.
Yeah, the probability that she'll see is very low. However,
Yeah,
if she sees it, you've made your point, and I'm sure it will spark a constructive dialogue between the two of you as well. So it's a
yeah.
learning experience for everybody. So the last guest, there's a tradition I've adopted where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who the guest will be. And so the question from the last guest was, what was the biggest mistake that you learned from?
Biggest mistake I've learned from. Oh, the previous guest gave it to me.
Okay.
Oh, what's a big? Okay, it's don't try to use hate to change hate. It's not going to work because just don't ever use hate to change hate. When I was in university overseas, I used to live in the student flat. The next door there's a like a neo-Nazi gang there, and but unfortunately our building is full of immigrants. so it ended up like just they just came and harassed us all the time, and but I I I didn't make the good decision. I used hate to convince hate, and ended up you know uh you know I I almost get into trouble when I was at that time, and it didn't change anything because you just don't do that. It's not how it works. Yeah, I think the more positive way would be move to a better environment. If you choose to live in a place that's going to be like that, then it's going to be like that. So the environment is very important. So choose a more diverse area to live that's probably more productive instead of trying to change ignorance uh, by ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's a question you would like to leave for the next guest?
Um, the next guess. Um, um, what would you do if you only had a month left? Would you uh, would you think of life differently?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And would you like to answer that question?
Oh, I have to answer.
Yeah. Well,
I thought I did during the podcast, right?
what's up?
I thought
Did
I did answer that during the podcast before. I
if you
thought
have if you only had a month left to live, what would you do
because
different?
I actually feel like that, like physically, I feel like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I guess you did. All right. Anything final that you want to share or promote or request from the audience?
I think I'm fine. I'm fine, but yeah, I'm fine. Like I like it. It's very authentic. So I don't need to promote anything, and I don't need followers.
Okay.
No, I mean like no, I don't need followers who's listening to this podcast because it's too authentic. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's just welcome to check out my channel as well. Yeah.
Yep. Krillin fits. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I
Oh,
really
thanks for
enjoyed it.
asking me all these questions. It's good to join the interview sometimes
Yeah, yeah.
like
I
that.
learned a
Yeah.
lot, and happy to hear that you had a shift in mindset. And you got the best out of that experience of your health condition and all that. So
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, but last but not least,
Yeah.
just because I'm a positive person doesn't mean other people in the same situation, if they choose the opposite, I would not judge them because it's their choice. It's a choice.
Yeah.
You know, toxic positivity is my thing, but it's probably not for everybody. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you don't, you're not be able to fight over that. It's not your fault. Everybody's different. I'm
Yeah.
just lucky enough to be here now. So it's just me, and I appreciate that I'm lucky enough to be here and healthy.
Yeah. Awesome. Toxic positivity.
Yeah, I do that a lot to
Yeah.
myself. I never do it to anybody, but I do it to myself.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop the recording.